Heavy metal
My
rock.
global mind.
Traveling light, far as she can tell. Though my head's as heavy as the Liberty Bell.
I'm Robert Cavuto, and today on My Global Mind, we're speaking with Cory Branan about the release of his new album, When I Go, I Ghost, that will be out October 14th. Cory, welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. I appreciate
Hey,
it.
same. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm digging the new CD. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be working again.
It's a great album. It's a pure slice of Americana at its best.
Thanks. Yeah, it's all over the place like all of them, but yeah. I'm pretty proud of it. It was fun to record and yeah, it's I've been champing at the bit. I can never remember how that phrase goes, but yeah, pretty excited.
Now, I'm really curious and intrigued about the title. What the heck does that mean?
Yeah, it's well, there's a lot of the sort of, not to get too heady or anything, but thematically on the record, it's a lot of restlessness and things that to do with, I guess, the plague and being off the road and things like that. But it also ties into went through a divorce and some things like that. It's not a divorce record. I don't really write autobiographically, but thematically that stuff worked up a lot. And
Yeah.
so yeah, and then it, just it can be taken literally as the old Irish goodbye, just 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 getting the hell out without saying goodbye.
That's funny. You know what I really loved about it was that the lyrics come across as very personal, I guess, to your point earlier, and particularly on the song "Oh Charlene." Tell me a little about that.
Yeah, and that sounds like it was written during the plague, but I wrote that right before COVID. I the be nice to see you if you still get out part sounds like, sounds like it might have something to do with that. But no, it's just yeah, that was a relatively simple tune. I was just on the road and I've got a friend named Charlene, and she's from Memphis, but she lived in Brooklyn or lived in Queens, and I'd see her when I cut through. Yeah, just sort of a simple tune about one of those friends that you don't have to holler at 4 times a week. You can just sort of pick back up where you left off. And so it kind of eases you into the record. The couple first tracks ease you in before I get into my forte, which is adult regret music.
You got a Bruce Springsteen and a Tom Petty vibe going on some of the songs, and even some of the songs simultaneously. Are they big influences of yours?
Oh yeah, huge. You can't they cover a lot of ground. You can't I'm especially Petty. I'm always a fan of deceptively simple songwriting. It's so hard to choose like the right details and not say too much. I tend to be overly dense and verbose. I want to write these little short novels and stuff like that. And but I also really admire the solidness of a Petty song. It just seems like they've always existed. They seem like you couldn't knock them over with a running start. They're very of a thing, and it's just the right detail. It's very hard to write a song like that. So while I'm not very good at that, but what I do take from Petty is finding the right detail. Trying to find the detail that'll resonate. Whether it's just rocks hitting the water like broken glass or something like, and they're parked on the overpass. These are just little details that are very evocative of you let the concrete stuff do the work.
Yeah.
Anything that's abstract or emotional or whatever needs to be grounded or needs to be put into concrete things. I find that I like that about that.
How about Bruce? How does he?
Love Bruce. We're very different people. He's quite the romantic. I'm a bit more jaundiced. I wish I we're gonna get out of the city and we're gonna, that sort of thing. I admire that in him. His hopefulness. I don't really share it, but yeah, he writes again in a lot of forms that you would think are well, I always love what he did with the river, like
Yeah.
with half of it being these songs about these people, and then the other half being kind of what they would listen to on the jukebox on a Friday night. I
Mhm.
just thought that, that's like such a heady concept to just try and pull off. And he does it, without it pointing to it, it doesn't like, look what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah.
I enjoy that, when things can be taken on different levels, which some people might think Bruce doesn't have different levels. They might be like, this is the thing he is, but I'm like, yeah, what era Bruce? What album? What are you talking? He's done everything,
He's pretty diverse, I have to
Yeah,
say.
yeah, I love him.
My wife, I'm not that big of a fan of Bruce, but my wife is a big fan. So I'm kind of, I pick up on it from listening to, to when she's listening to it.
Mhm.
So he's, obviously a talented guy, massive talent. I'm from New Jersey, you know, I guess there's a lot of
You can't
commonality.
avoid it. Yeah,
Not,
yeah.
you can't. Growing up, you had to like Bruce. If you didn't like Bruce, you'd be run out of town on a rail.
Exactly. On a rail. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be like when I lived in Nashville with John Prine. Of course, John Prine was such a formative thing with me. But yeah, when I lived up in Nashville, I'd just see him out and about, just eating at the meat and three and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Bruce is tremendous, and it's amazing how he resonates to you out being in the Midwest, because we always thought he was like a Jersey guy talking about Jersey, living in Jersey, doing Jersey things, what we all did. And it still resonates to people around the globe, around the United States. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I find and I've run into this with songs before. I feel that well, for example, after my father passed away, I wrote a song that was very, because I don't write a lot of autobiographical stuff.
Yeah.
I try to fashion whatever's going on with me into something else, into a story that might ring a little more true instead of a diary page.
Yeah.
But when my old man passed, I wrote a song called "The Vow," and I didn't put it on the record at the time. I put it on a later record because I thought it was going to be too specific. Just things about him, losing so much weight that he lost his wedding ring while he was out working on my car. He was a big dude, and then he kind of wasted away to nothing. And I was just like, is this specificity going to throw people? But I find that that people can attach, because they use these songs and they fill in the blanks anyway. But you don't necessarily have to leave them blank. I have said before, saying something about a car going down the road might be more universal, but saying something about a vomit green gremlin, if somebody didn't own that car, they sure as hell had a beater when they were a teenager.
Yeah.
That doesn't, so the specificity doesn't necessarily throw people. But I struggle with that, because that particular song, I didn't know if it was going to be useful for anyone. I don't want songs that point back at me, like, oh, look what I went through, or my old man's pain or whatever. I want it to be, useful.
We had a brown gremlin.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
And that was my beater car. It was, my father handed it down to me, and thrilled to have it.
We had the Pinto. I had the Pinto. That's how
Yeah.
I learned to drive on stick.
What color Pinto?
It was like a sort of a brick orange. It was a winner.
Is there a way a song most often begins for you? How do you start a song? Is it lyrical? Is it with the guitar? Where does it start?
Yeah, I would say more often than not, it's lyrical. I tend to have very linear melodies anyway. Speaking of someone like Bruce or Petty, or the songs, the way they sing them or the way they would say them. There are not a lot of, Burt Bacharach, two people living in Toledo. There's not these big sort of like, melodic leaps or anything in there.
Yeah.
I put them in there as hooks and stuff sometimes, but for usually the cadence of how I speak, if you say something 4 or 5 times, you'll start to hear the music in it, or even like you'll start to hear the music in it. You'll start to hear the music in it. You'll start to hear the music in it. and so even if it's a lyrical snippet or whatever, it almost comes with music to me. I whatever feels the most natural way to sing it. But sometimes, yeah, sometimes I mean, I have all this stuff here, I got you know, got all my toys and stuff and the drum machines, and sometimes it'll come from just noodling around musically. Sometimes because I'm a big I say my stuff's linear and things like that, but I do have ambitions beyond as far as composing and stuff. I do I try to put interesting musical ideas in the songs. It doesn't necessarily happen melodically with me because I'm limited with this voice. I do what I can do.
Right.
But musically, sonically, I do have a broader palette, I think, than I yeah. So
It sounds like you have a gift for melody.
I don't know. It probably was just upbringing, exposed to a lot of music, church, and growing up in Mississippi, and you're exposed to, all the roots music that came from here, and yeah, you just sort of pick it up here and there. And I've been an onslaught. Yeah, I grew up alongside MTV and stuff, so it was like, it wasn't like it was just spirituals and blues. It's like it's all of it, and you had to chase it down, when I was younger. It's like there were no record stores. There was, you had to really search it out and get the subscription to the Kerrang or whatever. And,
I find it fascinating that you could do the melody or the lyrics first and then backfill it with the music. Growing up playing guitar in hard rock, heavy metal, in a cover band, we always had I always had to learn how the riff, and then we would put the melody on top of it. So writing, I've always thought riff, and then we come up with the melody afterwards.
Mhm.
So it's fascinating that you do it, not saying right or wrong, just in a very unique and different way.
Yeah, it's a different way, and for me, it's a lot of the riffs and things come from, if I do have riffs and stuff, it comes out of the melody of the song. Yeah, a lot of times when I'm writing a song, I'm like, okay, well, I'm here. I need something to juxtapose with what I've been doing here. Yeah. But again, it's not like I'll fully lyrically write the song all the time. Sometimes it'll be noodling with the music and stuff, and one informs the other.
Are you a type of person who's writing all the time, continuously writing?
No, when I'm writing all the time, and then I don't write at all. For long periods of time. But I do. I've got the graveyard of notes and stuff in the notebooks. I'll jot here and there, and it all goes down, any observations and stuff. Because then when I can go sift through the junkyard,
yeah,
and I can use that as starting points and prompts, and a lot of times when I'm stuck for a thing, I'll rifle through the junkyard. But I mean, I go for long periods of time. I didn't write a thing during COVID, a couple of years, because it was out of necessity. I was shuffling, and I got kids, so I had to keep the lights on. So I had to learn how to mix and record here at the house, and did like 5 direct to fan cover albums. Like they would request whatever, commission whatever tune, and I would play all the instruments and or program. I don't play drums. I had to program those. So that was a whole, I put on a different hat for those couple years, and so I learned not to sweat it when I'm not writing. It's for me, it's an on-off kind of thing, because there's so much that goes into a, not capital C, but lowercase c career in music. Just to be able to stay interested in it. I played just tons of piano during COVID, and and so because I've always sort of plunked at it, but I'm like, I'm gonna learn the damn thing, and so I busy myself to stay interested in music in one form or another, whether it's just messing with the guitar pedal, to try to get a new tone, or if I'm reading poetry to try to, to stay on, to find new ways to uh, distill an idea into the smallest form. You know, it's all interrelated, I
You know,
find.
you did a fantastic job of blending country, Americana, and rock all into one format. I thought that was really impressive. Like a Tom Petty, like a Bruce Springsteen, you're not really pigeonholed, but you could be enjoyed by everybody. Tell me about that balancing act that you have to do.
Yeah, for me, it's just it's I don't know why I would limit myself other than my natural limitations. I grew up with music all over the place. It was just and I joke around, but like if you pull up a Billboard Top 100 from any time from 82 to 86, none of the artists sounded the same. Now I
Yeah.
know that was because labels were making money hand over fist and they could develop artists and they would do all these crazy, but nobody sounded, it was all this different stuff and it was just coming through the radio, like the top pop radio. And so I was just exposed to different stuff right and left. I played in metal bands, I was in punk stuff, and I was into, when I got into songwriting, I was really impressed by artists. Tom Waits, for one, made a huge impression on me. And people think Tom Waits and these pictures pop in their head of maybe this certain thing. But if you look at what he's done and what he's doing at different times, he's pulling from every form of not just American music, not just the country and blues and, more avant-garde stuff and Captain Beefhearty kind of clangy stuff, but he's also pulling from like, German plays and, things, but but it's just all tied together with his voice. So people think Tom Waits. Now, I don't really have that distinctive a voice to sort of tie things together, but I do like to give myself permission and leeway to work just kind of however the song seems to want to go. What interests me musically, but more importantly, what will get the song, what I think how it'll connect.
Right, right. If I read your bio correctly, you were in a Sabbath cover band, right?
That was just one of my first bands. That's just one of those things. I played in every band. Anybody around that needed an okay guitar player. I started playing when I was 13, and I spent a couple summers woodshedding, and I was kind of a shredder. And but I would play with anybody. I've had my metal guitars, and I would play in a country band. If they needed a guitar player. So, but yeah, I had a band, and it was I was an okay guitar player at that time, and the drummer was fantastic, which is a good recipe for Sabbath.
Yes, definitely. Did you like the Sabbath with Ozzy or the Sabbath with Tony Iommi, with Ronnie James Dio? Excuse me.
I liked it all, but yeah, Ozzy was obviously, yeah, I went in like that.
Yeah, I liked Ozzy solo. That's my introduction to Ozzy when he was solo, and my introduction to Black Sabbath was with Ronnie James Dio. So I've always thought of them as two separate entities. And when I've tried to go back and listen to the Sabbath with Ozzy, I just wasn't that enthralled.
It's like, why is Ozzy singing with Dio's band?
Right. And, you got to love Dio. He's just so amazing across.
Yeah, it was great. And those first Ozzy solo things were very formative. I was a huge Randy Rhoads fan, and still am, obviously. But yeah, those I listen to the shit out of that music. Yeah.
Good. And you have a tour. Tell me a little bit about the tour you got going on.
Honestly, I don't know too much about it. I don't really look ahead too much because it wears me out. I do know it starts on the 13th, and I'm pretty much out until the end of the year. With some couple little breaks here and there. I start off going up through the country, and then I head out your way. I head out east, northeast, and then I think I cut down through Florida and stuff on it. Yeah, it's all up on the site at CoryBranan.com. But yeah, I'll usually, when I start, I'll look at the next week, and that's as far as ahead as I can look, just because I got to sort of plan routing and all that stuff. But yeah, if I look at as one big lump, it starts to beat me up.
How do you survive on the road? What are the things you like to do, and how do you keep yourself occupied?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's driving. It's because I go solo. I don't take a band unless it's a festival thing, or sometimes I'll piece a tour together with a band, but this will be solo. But I'll be, solo like I've been doing, which is, I'll bring the electric rig in, I'll bring the acoustic, and I might even bring this keyboard here. just so I can have variables and play the songs on different instruments, because I play everything different every night, and just to keep myself interested. It's like, I've heard these songs. Let me play them some other way. But yeah, just in general, I have found that I've because I'm driving, so that means no drinking. I don't drink that much when I'm off the road either, really.
Yeah.
But I used to drink a lot more. So, but yeah, maybe I'll have a drink before I go on stage and here and there. But so that helps. You're not waking up beat to hell.
Right.
I wake up at grown-up hours, and I get to the town. I don't try to drag ass in the hotel room. I just get to the place, and I just treat it like it's work. And then from the start of the set to the end of the set, that's play. But everything else is, you just got to be on it and just got to be working. Just got to get in that mindset. And for years, I didn't write when I was on the road. I would always use that energy I had, that restlessness when I got home, that sort of where you're laying on the bed, but the carpet's still moving underneath the bed because you feel like you're in a car. I would use that to write, but then after I had kids, I come home and I just want to see my kids, and so I sort of systematically taught myself to write on the road the year before COVID, and that's how I ended up with like 50 songs that year, because I just, what if I start in the morning before I turn the key and I start making connections, if I start thinking about like really looking, and seeing what's around me, seeing the room I'm in, just start noticing things and start making a couple of, this reminds me of this, a couple of, you start making connections in your head, and then I'm in that mind frame for the rest of the day. And then while I'm driving, I can sort of work.
Cool. Well, listen, I want to wish you the best with the album, with the tour. And it was such a nice, talking with you today, and really inspirational and insightful. Thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate it, man. I love that Charvel behind you, by the way. I got one over here in the corner.
Oh, you do? You got, you have a Charvel? You have the,
yeah. Yeah, no, it's not AVH, but it's just a black Charvel.
I also have a white Charvel from the San Dimas.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Like in the early 80s. I guess I got it like 84, 83, somewhere when they were really made in California, San Dimas. So yeah.
Those things are worth a lot of money now.
Yeah, it is. It's my baby. So
yeah,
it's nice. Mine is all white.
The necks on those are butter, man.
Oh, the sound that comes out of that guitar is, you don't even need distortion. It's just a playing guitar. It really is. This one's a little rougher, but yeah.
Well, cool, man. All the best to you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Take care, man.
Bye-bye.
Heavy metal rock.
Global Mind.